Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Okay, everyone, welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman, and today we have another Jonathan, although he's got his name spelled John Marko from Detroit. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jonathan. It's happy to be here and always happy to find another Jonathan with their name spelled the correct way. We're the Old Testament Jonathan, man.
There you go. Whenever someone puts an H in, it's like, no, other tribe, right?
That's right, man. It was the prince. He was like the prince, right? Prince Jonathan, man.
There you go. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was a kid, like where I grew up, I was like embarrassed to have that name. Like I didn't think it was a cool name. Like I grew up with like tough kids and they would like beat you up if you had a name like that. So I remember I went to the school nurse and they asked me my name, and I have a twin brother. His name is Steven. I said, Steven. Well, wait a minute. We just had Steven in here. I told him the same name because I didn't want to tell him Jonathan.
Oh, man, there's no shame in that game with Jonathan, man. So.
And now I love it. Now it's like I'm proud to have that name.
Exactly. So. And, you can call me John. You know, there's so many options, right?
Exactly. Well, listen, so Latte with a Lawyer. So what's your morning beverage of choice to get going?
All right. First thing in the morning, without a doubt, espresso. Straight up, nothing cut in. I literally have an espresso machine in my closet. So I have like a walk-in when I get ready for work in the morning. So yeah. I'm a zombie. I go straight to my espresso machine, make espresso, don't do anything until I have.
That's excellent. And how many espressos do you have?
Just one, man. Just one before I get out the door. Yeah.
All right.
And then, then I'll have like a coffee usually when I get to work. But just that morning espresso is, man, it's something to look forward to. It's the little things in life.
I totally agree. So you're in your office. I mean, everyone's back in the office working now?
Yeah, we're all in office. Right downtown Detroit. We actually moved into a brand new office space. So we got too big for our old space, which is great. So we're right downtown Detroit. We're walking distance. I got the federal courthouse is one block this way. I got the state Wayne County Circuit Court, which is the biggest state courthouse in Michigan, is 2 blocks the other way. So it's a good place to be. Oh, excellent. Good. And Detroit is live and well, doing well. And yeah, man, Detroit's booming now. When I first moved here in 2008 after law school, I moved from Washington, D.C. It was like the murder capital. I don't know if you remember. It was on the front page of Forbes magazine. And it was like all my classmates were like, dude, you're crazy. Like you're moving from Washington, D.C. to Detroit. Like what's wrong with you? But now downtown's awesome. It's safe. There's so much going on. There's new restaurants. There's events. We were just Condé Nast actually rated Detroit as the best place to go in North America for 2024. Believe it or not.
Wow.
Who would have thought?
That's amazing.
Come in the warmer months, though, guys. If you're going to come visit, I'll show you around, but please, not in the winter. It gets a little cold.
Well, I have extended family. So my wife's family, they live in Detroit, like in the suburbs. I call Detroit like a donut, right? Those beautiful suburbs around, like Bloomfield Hills or one of those places, Birmingham. And we went out there for an event, and it was next to the museum. Is there a Ford museum? I think
so. There's the Henry Ford. There's the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn. Ford Motor Company is actually headquartered in Dearborn, Michigan, which is right next. It's right west of Detroit. It's its own city.
No, it wasn't Dearborn. It was in Detroit.
Okay, you went to a museum in Detroit. There's the Detroit Institute of Arts, which is a very famous museum. It's an art museum in Detroit. I don't know if you went there. Like, you got to tell me, like, what kind of museum was it?
I honestly can't even remember.
Oh, it didn't have that much impact.
But I remember it was a cool. I think it was an art museum. It was very cool. And I had gone to Detroit years ago when I was in the real estate business, and I remember going to like these speakeasies. Like there would literally be no windows, and like the guy said, it's going to be okay going in here, but on the way out, it's going to be a different story. You'd walk in, it was like you had Motown in front of you.
Oh,
I'd never
yeah.
seen anything like it. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a good place. It's good people. The city had some rough times like some other places. I was born in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh kind of went through.
Oh, you're from Pittsburgh. I was going to ask you
Yeah.
where you're from, because you said DC. Okay, so I went to Carnegie Mellon,
Oh, yeah.
and
My dad went to Duquesne, man.
my wife
Mom
is
went to
from,
Seton Hall
my
Seton
wife
Hall.
is from Pittsburgh. She's from Mount Lebanon.
Great place, Mount Lebanon's. We grew up poor. We were in like Duquesne and Westview and Braddock. My dad was born in Braddock.
Oh,
So
nice. Steel
yeah,
mill town.
that's right.
Wait, but you don't sound like a Pittsburgh guy. You sound like more like Detroit.
Well, I moved when I was really young. We moved in first grade to Michigan, and then I went to law school out in DC, and then I came back. So, but they say if you're born in Pittsburgh, you're always going to have the Steelers in your blood,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I know Pittsburgh very well. I spent a lot of time in Pittsburgh, and I lived in DC. So do you go to AU or?
Yeah, I went to American University lived out there for 3 years when I went to law school.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, yeah. No, I love DC too. I lived there for 17 years, frankly. So
Wow,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, I'm old.
It's a
So
long
so
time.
tell us about the kind of law that you practice.
So we focus on three major areas. We do personal injury and complex personal injury, complex civil litigation. That's kind of number one. That's your normal personal injury docket. Auto accidents,
Yep.
anything where somebody's getting hurt and it's somebody else's fault.
Yep.
Then we do two other areas of law that not a lot of people do, at least not in Michigan. One is civil rights work.
Okay.
And so this is, police brutality, governmental immunity stuff, any type of civil rights violation, constitutional violations.
Ben Crump kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Ben Crump kind of stuff. And then we do employment litigation. So we
Okay.
do a lot of employment law. We do discrimination, Title VII, anything related to employment disputes.
Okay, very good. And what's most of your, is there like sort of some you do more than others?
I'd say it's about a third, a third, a third.
Okay. How many attorneys in the firm?
We have 7 lawyers here.
Okay. Very good.
7 lawyers.
And still growing, or you're?
Yeah, so grown. We're trying to hire right now. So if you're listening and you're hungry and you want to join our practice, hit me up. Give me a call, send me an email, because we're looking for good people.
Excellent. That's good. Excellent. So you're from Pittsburgh, Braddock Hills. So how'd you get started? How'd you take me through the journey of becoming a lawyer?
Well, I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, because we moved there when I was young. And I actually went to Catholic school my whole life. My dad was a theology professor at a place called Aquinas College,
Okay.
where I ultimately went it's a small liberal arts school in Grand Rapids.
Yep.
And I was kind of like a troublemaker when I was a kid. We had the nuns, dude. So, it wasn't exactly, they was very strict. We had all these rules, and I wasn't very good at following the rules. They said I was too loud. I wasn't paying attention. I was kind of running amok. And when I was in 9th grade, they kicked me out of school. And my dad said, well, son, you blew it. You have to go to the inner city school, public school. And so I went to an inner city school. I was a minority. It was largely African-American and Hispanic. It was a completely different socioeconomic background, right? You had almost everyone there was impoverished from the other side of the tracks, so to speak.
Yep.
And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I made friends that I had for the rest of my life. And I learned a lot about what real life is like and what it's like and how people are treated differently because of where they come from, because of the color of their skin, because of how much money their family has or doesn't have. And so those experiences that I had, I said, I want to do something that's important. And I want to represent people who need a voice and people who are being treated differently. And so that kind of inspired me. I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't always know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do litigation, but this gave me an inspiration to do civil rights work, an inspiration to help those who are less fortunate. and which fits in now to what I
Yeah.
do, which is against corporations, government, representing people who are generally marginalized and kind of oppressed.
That's excellent. That's a great story, actually. Gerald Ford's from Grand Rapids, right?
Yeah, Gerald Ford's from Grand Rapids. Yeah, that's one of their claims to fame.
I know. I've actually been to Grand Rapids, and it's interesting. I mean, all these places you're naming, I've actually been to, just because I've been around the block a little bit. But when did you wait? So you moved from there to that's where you grew up. Oh, so from Pittsburgh.
I grew up there, went to high school there. I ended up graduating from the inner city high school. I mean, and when I say metal detectors, I mean, the first day of school, I remember seeing the principal was a former Chiefs player for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was this massive guy.
His
name was Mr. Grandy. And I just remember the first day, like a student had been screwing around and he lifted them up and shoved them onto the locker and was holding them up and said, like, you're not going to do that here. And that might seem crazy nowadays, but it was like what we needed, and it was like, it was a whole different world. And so it made me who I am. And I'm so glad that I had that experience. I know that sounds a little crazy looking back, and then I graduated from Aquinas College.
Where's that? Where is that school?
It's in Grand Rapids.
It is in Grand Rapids.
Michigan, yeah. It's like right outside. It's in the city of Grand Rapids, but it's right outside downtown. It's a small liberal arts school. It was great. I graduated I majored in history and I focused on political science and whatnot. And then I moved to law school in DC, where I went to American for 3 years.
Yep.
Had great experience out there. I got to work with on the Hill. I did some lobbying work on the Hill, where I worked for some interest groups. I got to work for a local state court judge in Maryland in law school. I had some other great experiences. And then after DC, I moved to Detroit area, where I took my first job for Chief Justice of the Michigan Supreme Court, whose name is Marilyn Kelly. And that was an awesome opportunity. I worked with her for 2 years. And then I went to work for a very famous and world-renowned trial attorney by the name of Jeffrey Feiger. And Jeffrey Feiger is definitely the most famous attorney in Michigan, but he's known nationally. There was a guy named Jack Kevorkian. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, of course, sure, of course.
Jack Kevorkian. Jeff represented Jack. Jeff had cases all over the country. Jeff had a private jet that we would fly in and go all over the country. I mean, I remember like early on in the job, we flew to West Virginia. There was a coal mine collapse and it killed these miners. And Jeff and I flew there to represent these miners. And then we flew to Tennessee. And then we flew all over the place. And as a young lawyer, I was extremely fortunate to have been able to work with one of the greatest attorneys of our time and ever, and learn and be able to have those opportunities.
What did he do that was so special when you look back at it?
I mean, he just was a great trial lawyer, and he would take on impossible odds. He would take on cases that were very difficult, and he would fight. And he was just a master trial attorney. I mean, the things that he would do, the way that he could connect with people, communicate with people. He was an intense man. I mean, he is an intense man. And I learned so much from him and got to work on cases that as a young lawyer, I really had no business working on, cases that were kind of like career cases for other people.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to work on these. I mean, we had cases. I remember one of the first cases he had me work on was a civil rights case, because he knew I love civil rights, against the Detroit Police Department, where a little girl was shot in the head by a police officer who did a raid with A&Es the first 48 hours.
Yeah.
And shot this little girl with a submachine gun. And it was all over national news. It was all over worldwide news. And I was getting to go to court on this case as a young lawyer. That was a case that should have been handled by somebody who's had 50 times the experience as me,
Yeah.
So it was just great. It was great. And Jeff helped me. And taught me, and I got to learn. He had a lot of great lawyers at his firm, and that kind of helped me, along with the other experiences, come into what I do today.
What are the skills that you think make you a great lawyer?
Passion, I think, is number one above anything else.
Hmm.
If you don't care, I don't care how smart you are. If you don't have passion, you're not going to be successful. And then, in addition to being passionate, I mean, he was just a great communicator and great connector with people. And I mean, you'd be around him and he had kind of this presence. And it's almost magical. It's hard to describe, but not everybody has that. You either have it or you don't.
Right.
He worked hard, and he was committed to the cause.
So I assume that you've taken on a lot of those qualities and you've been successful.
I try to. Yeah. I work real hard. We work real hard here, and we care about what we do.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's fun. You know, a lot of the guys that I've met doing this have a similar sort of drive, right? It's not just about, the maximizing the value, but you guys are passionate about what you do, which is great.
Yeah. Jeff used to always say, that people would ask, what's the secret? What's the secret? Is it, you're just smarter, or, you just have better order skills, and he's like, no. He's like, the secret is hard work. Is, you outwork, you outsmart, you're better prepared. And, there's always a little bit of luck, but I'd say 98% is hard work.
Yeah. It's fine. I read it was kind of a corny biography by Michael Bloomberg on Bloomberg.
Yeah.
You ever read that?
No, I haven't.
Book. But one of the things he said in there that sort of stuck with me, he said, just work hard on the guy next to you.
That's right. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And he came from nothing, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, unless you hit the lottery, the common thing of really successful lawyers is hard work. I mean, it's just grinding.
Yes. So you're also, but you're running the firm too. Is that your job as well?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to run the firm. I would love to just be in the courtroom all the time. That's one thing I don't love about the practice is, administrating and the day-to-day running, supervising, managing and stuff. To be frank, that's not my best skill set, but it's something that I've had to work on, improve, and do. So we do that. I love being a teacher, but I hate dealing with the paperwork, the day-to-day HR responsibilities, all that stuff. I really love to be in a courtroom. And a great attorney once told me, he said, you can be a great lawyer, a great trial lawyer, you can be a great marketer, you can be a great administrator, manager. You can't be all three. You might be able to pick two, but you can't be all three. And I totally agree on that. That's why, I'm lucky to have great people that surround me and help me to do some of those things.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know you got a neighbor there, Michael Morse, that basically sells that kind of expertise. Have you used those, people like him or gone to some of these?
No, I mean, I read the book and stuff. A lot of this stuff is about processes and things like that. Some of this process stuff drives me crazy. I understand why people need it. I try to leave that to smarter people than me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you get to a certain size, I mean, a lot of you guys will actually hire someone to be a chief operating officer or handle some of that stuff. Is that part of the plan for you as well?
Yeah. So I'm lucky. I have a retired attorney who is my chief operating officer.
Oh, good.
He helps assist with that. We also have an office manager. They help assist. So we have people in place who help assist with those things because you can't do it all. It's just too much.
Yeah, I agree. So let me ask you this. Is there any one case that sort of really stands out that was memorable that you want to share?
My gosh. I I was just asked this today by Michigan Lawyers Weekly because I was selected the go-to negligence lawyer for 2023. And so one of the questions they asked me was, what's your most memorable case? And I said, I can't tell you one memorable case that's just like sticks out, because I have had so many memorable cases in my career. And it's gone, they're so wild that I tell people about them, and it's just unbelievable. I started my own podcast called Cases Gone Wild.
Oh, nice.
Where we talk about these crazy cases, and I bring lawyers on from all over the country, and we just sit and we talk about our craziest cases.
Oh, fantastic.
So if you want to hear about all my crazy cases, tune into my podcast, Cases Gone Wild.
I will.
But we have all kinds of stuff. I can tell you about a real recent one.
Sure.
That we just filed right in time for Halloween. And this case is crazy. So these 7 women graduated from high school in Alpena, Michigan. And Alpena, Michigan is in northern Michigan. Okay. It's more rural. Northern Michigan is more rural, farm, country. And they have their high school reunion. It's like their like 50th high school reunion or something like that.
Yeah.
So these women all come in from all over the country and over the state, and they say, hey, ladies, let's get an Airbnb together and let's have fun. We can drink wine and play cards and go to our reunion, and we'll have it like old times. So they rent this Airbnb called The Castle. And this Airbnb looks like a castle. I mean, it has like a turret on it, like the brick turrets and stuff. And it kind of looks Castlevania-ish, kind of Count Dracula-ish, and it's right in downtown Alpena. And these women go to sleep, and they had a great night. They drink wine, they play cards, whatever. These old ladies do. And one of them wakes up and hears all this commotion in the middle of the night. And she thinks someone is in the house.
Mm.
And they get really scared. And she's petting what she thinks is her cat on the bed, because one of them had a cat, and she's petting the cat. Well, what she thinks is a cat, she feels, and she's like, oh my God, this isn't a cat. And the cat starts to fly and attack her. And she wakes up, she's all disoriented. They turn on the lights. There's a horde of bats.
Oh my God.
Inside this Airbnb. Now, keep in mind, they don't know this house very well. It's pitch dark. They're awakened from their slumber and trying to like crawl around. And when I say a horde of bats, I want you to think of like a Count Dracula movie where like they all fly at the moon. And these bats are attacking these women and biting them because they're in a confined space. One of them gets bitten like a vampire bat. These women try to run downstairs to run out of the house, and they get to the staircase. They turn on the lights. A whole throng of bats had nested on the staircase and was blocking their way out because this was like a small, down spiral staircase. So these women were trapped in a house of horror where they're being attacked by bats. So they ran back to the bedroom. They dove under their covers and had to cocoon themselves under their bed covers
until the light,
while these bats are pelting them and attacking them, and they're all night, and they had to wait till morning. Talk about a nightmare or a horror movie.
Oh my God.
In real life. And we sued. The maintenance man came, or the exterminator or whatever, and found, according to them, bat poop and piss all down the walls, which meant that the bats had been nested there for some time, right? So there was like a bat. It was like a fucking bat cave. Oh, excuse me to swear on your podcast. It was an effing bat cave.
It's okay.
So
who'd you sue?
We sued Airbnb, and we also sued the property owner.
Okay.
Who has a responsibility to not have vicious bats attacking poor old ladies that are coming there. And they have homeowners insurance, of course. So that case just started, but that's an interesting case for Halloween. It's a case gone wild. Who would have thought? I love Airbnbs. Okay. I'm staying at an Airbnb for New Year's, but now I'm freaked out, dude. You know, like who would have expected a horde of bats that had been nesting
that is a crazy story. I have to tell you, that is one of the crazier stories I've heard. Thanks for sharing that. Wow.
So stay tuned. We'll let you know what happens.
Wow. I'm gonna tune into your podcast. I think when I'm at the gym, I'm gonna turn it on.
Turn it on, man. We got cases, crazy cases you won't believe. Cases that I tell people these cases and they think I'm making it up. They're like, that can't happen. A bunch of old ladies being swarmed and bitten by vampire bats. Oh, it happened.
Wow.
It happened.
So I hope you prevail and you get a lot of money for it.
Yeah, so do we. We'll see.
Okay, good. All right. Well, listen, this has been really a blast. And I want to ask you just final words you want to share with the audience about you, the firm, best way to connect with you.
Yeah, best way to connect is Marko Law, and that's Marko with a K. So Marko Law. You can Google us. Look at our podcast, which is Cases Gone Wild. You can call us. Our number is 313-777-7LAW, LAW, or www.markolaw.com, and hit us up. Anything you need. We service all of Michigan, and we have cases. I do cases all over the country. So
excellent, good deal.
Yeah, well, thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for having us on. I'll have a double espresso for you guys next time.
Excellent. I'm not an espresso guy, but I will have a latte every once in a while.
All right, latte's just like espresso with milk, man.
With milk, you got it. I'm not tough enough just to have the espresso on its own. So anyway, for everybody, John Marko with Marko Law, and this is sponsored by EmotionTrac, which is a legal tech platform that helps trial lawyers prepare for mediation and trials. Thanks a ton, John. Really a lot of fun.
Thanks, Jonathan.
You bet.